came upon like Warwick totally by accident. We were this is back in 1990, early 1990, and we were recording some stuff in Bearsville, New York, in upstate New York, in Woodstock. There's this Todd Rundgren's old studio called Bearsville, and you live with the band. Once again, we were all used to live together back in the Aussie days. It was really nice, you know. So we'd go to a place and we'd all share, cohabitate together, you know. And so there was 3 houses built into one big house next to this stream, and then they're next to this giant barn. And then the actual Bearsville studio is up the road on the property, and you go to the top of the mountain, and that's where you record this stuff, you know. So you get your parts together and everything down, and then go up to record the album, you know. So I had these old Fender basses, and I was using them, but we just couldn't get them to growl. We couldn't get a good proper sound, you know. So Ozzy's really good especially when there's a new band member, and he'll spoil them, you know. If you want a 68 Les Paul or something, or 58 Les Paul or whatever it is, whatever the good one is, that's the time you get it. He says, okay, I'm going to buy you 1 or 2 instruments, and that's when you go for those kind of ones, right? So Zach's all like, go to Manny's in New York. He said, just go pick out a couple basses for yourself, right? So I went to Manny's, and I was blown away too. It was like the giant Guitar Center, and I'm sure you recall Manny's. You ever been to Manny's? Yeah, yep. It's just so. I walked in, and there's hundreds of basses up there, and I'm trying these out, Gibsons and other Fenders, and it was like early 90s, and there wasn't very many. Like some of these companies had bad years during the early 90s, you know. They weren't their best effort, you know. Some of these bigger kind of corporate bass companies, you know. So off in the corner, I don't think it's this one, but it looked almost exactly like this. It was off in the corner, and I told the guy to get a ladder out, and hey, what's that one up there? So he brought me my first streamer, and he set it in my hands, and I plugged it in, and as soon as I turned it up, it just had this distortion, this growl, you know, and it was the only bass out of all of them that when I plugged it in and really started slamming on it, that all the guys that worked at the place jumped on the Ampeg amp that I was playing through and turned it down, you know. It really had a good high output, you know. And so I said, okay, yeah, I'll take this one, you know. So I didn't, you know, Ozzy thought, you know, and the Ozzy crew guys thought I was going to grab a few basses, you know, but I just came back with the one. I didn't like any of the other ones, so I just had the one streamer. So I brought it back, and it was funny. We were staying at the house, and I was staying with Zach Wilde, and I was all proud of my new bass, you know, and you know, it's pretty expensive for a guy like me at the time. It was a couple $1,000s for this bass, you know. So I'm like, oh, Zach, look at my new guitar. And Zach looks at it, and he's like, oh, that's such a beautiful guitar. And then he takes it and then throws it down the hallway as hard as he could. He just slides it down this hallway and smashes it into this old school water heater, you know, heating up the hallway in the corner. I was like, oh my God, what's he doing? So I thought he wrecked my bass, but Zach's all, then he patted me on the back and started laughing. He's all, this thing is going to get so beat up, you don't even worry about it. It looks too new. He said it was like, you know, your best friend stepping on your new tennis shoes, you know. But it was so funny. So that before I even got to plug that thing into an amp for real, besides being in the music store, Zach Wilde had already threw it in a fucking wall like about 40 feet down the hallway, you know. And so I figured if it was if Zach Wilde, if it lasted, you know, with Zach throwing it around, it was a pretty tough bass. And to this day, 2016, 26 years later, that's still one of my best sounding basses. You know, that was the golden age for me for Warwick basses. There was one other, this one here, it's I call it a Moonburst. It's a Silverburst kind of old bass. This is one of my best friends in the world, this bass. I think I was counting them up the other day. I played bass and performed in 50 countries at this point. And 49 or 50, I think we just did Singapore, was a new country that we just played. And I think that was the 50th country. So this bass and me have been through a lot of adventures together, you know. It's on its 4th headstock. The Oakland Raiders are my football team, so it's got a sticker up top with the Raider logo on it. That's not your typical Warwick thing. But it's on its fourth headstock. It's so beat up. The back bridge pickup doesn't even work. I don't even know when that quit working. My trusty tech Scott has said, "Oh, that never worked since I've been with you," and he's been with me 10 years straight now. So I don't know. I'm not exactly sure when this quit working. Basically when I run everything, everything's full up on the basses anyway. So this has just been so beat up, and it's still my best sounding bass. Whenever I do records with this, the producers always come back to this bass. Like, no, go back to the other one. I have a lot of probably 200 basses, 200 instruments or so, but this is the one still to this day. I just refuse to retire it until it falls apart on me. I'm just going to keep playing this. I just love it. It's my main bass. It's messed up here. I had a God, what is it? In I'd say 1995 or 98. I was in New Zealand playing with Ozzy, doing some arenas with Ozzy down there on a New Zealand, Australia, Japan tour. And I threw this to my tech, and the lights changed when the bass was in the air, and the thing smashed down here on this. And so, I thought it was destroyed, and I wouldn't be able to use it. So Zach's tech at the time, his name was Franklin, and Franklin said, I'm just going to put some glue on it, and we'll just fake it right now, because I didn't have very many backup basses at the time. And so he just kind of put it together like this, and you could see it. It's really messed up and still smashed in, and just a really bad glue job on it. So I used it for that tour, and it still sounded fucking great, So we used it on New Zealand, Australia, Japan. We came back to Los Angeles to take a break, and then we were supposed to go to Europe after that. And during the time off, Franklin passed away. He passed away. Horrible story, suicide, victim. But he was just a fantastic guy. I've learned a lot from a lot of these old school road crew guys. Very close to my heart. I've learned from a young age to shut my mouth and listen to the old guys who have been touring for 100 years. And he was certainly one of them, a friend of ours from Vancouver named Franklin. So, so I've never let anybody fix this bass. You could just see it's just smashed to shit, and it's just such a part of the history of it. I just really, really love this guy. And I just, every tech I get, they always want to, we're going to resound this. Even Warwick was saying, hey, we'll redo it for you. It's like, no, it's good the way it is. This is just part of the history of it. This bass is played, it's funny, I always say, I've jammed with everybody from Carrie Underwood to Kerry King from Slayer, Kerry to Kerry, everybody in between with this bass. It's been 50 countries. I've jammed with, 5 years as a member of the band Heart, and so we do a lot of these country kind of sessions. So I find myself jamming with like Dina Carter or Winona Judd or Carrie Underwood, and like Winona Judd, she loved this. We were doing some country music, and that's the thing I love about a good bass tone will translate to any form of music. Whether it's playing Pantera riffs at a benefit concert with Kerry King, or playing Winona Judd songs in Nashville with Heart and stuff. There wasn't a difference in the tone that much. Maybe a little more distortion and stuff when we're playing with Carrie or Alice in Chains, for instance, or Ozzy. But the tone on Warwicks are just my favorite tone. They're so solid and just it's like an old Chevy. I don't know if it's the German engineering of it, but they're just like an old Chevy truck. You just plug them in, turn them up, and they sound really, really good. They kind of come up and down over the years. Warwick, they experiment a lot. They're always trying new stuff. So a lot of their stuff isn't my favorite, but every year they don't make a bad bass for sure. Every bass is just solid. I love that they used to do the brass nuts up here, and on these nuts, I think they're called Adjust Nut 1. There's a screw here, so you can actually adjust the action up here on the nut, which I thought was a great innovation that they come up with later. Some of these new basses, you could still adjust the thing, but not on each individual string, you know. So yeah, I'm trying to talk to my trusty Warwick guys to redo these kind of older, kind of early 90s. I have Warwicks from, say, 86 to 93 are my favorite ones. I probably got, I'd say 20 Warwicks maybe. I always take out the same 5 or 6 just to keep a continuity with our sound man. But their stuff is still great to this day, and they sent me a couple of these new hollow bodies, but Bingowood hollow bodies, so these have integrated into the set. If I'm using them live, they're really good ones, you know. Usually I'm using a lot of vintage, so I kind of take a lot of vintage gear around the world, you know, 69 amp pegs and different cabinet configurations. I think the biggest thing for me was I had 6 18s, 12 15s, and 24 10s. That's what, like a big Aussie configuration or Alice in Chains configuration, you know. Lately, we've been playing lots smaller ball, which is like not as many cabinets behind us, you know. So it's all, you know, we're bringing the stage volumes down now that we've got the in-ears, so it's a whole new kind of era for us. So. But once again, the thing that I latch onto that I know I can count on every time is just a goddamn Warwick. You just plug the damn thing in and it sounds great, you know. So it sounds good in the in-ear monitors. It's just like a Chevy truck. It's my go-to instrument, you know. I think it always will be too. I've got a ton of great sounding basses, but there's just something about these Warwicks that really, I don't know, translates it just translates for me, and if I need that sound to go on an album, or if I need that sound to come out of a PA system and the subs out front, and like Rock and Rio or something big like that, I could always count on these basses really cut through. They have a good cut, a lot of bottom end, and just the creamy distortion in the right areas. You know, we do a couple tricks, you know, out front to get certain frequencies to distort and things like that, but it's just so easy to work with it. The sound men love these Warwick basses, and they're just the best in the world for what I do anyways.